Kids, how's everybody doing out there tonight? Hopefully you are doing fantastimungo. What are you waving at, Culture?
Of the people out there, they just watched
Over
the
my
premiere.
head? Okay, that's better. All right.
Very regal.
And we also have joining us, I thought you were sick, my friend, but we have Jesse Miller of the Crow's Nest.
Oh, I am sick, but I've slept a lot today. I could stay for 2 hours.
All right. Well, if you have to run away, then don't worry. Just give us a BRB and we'll be cool with that.
You got to spew into this.
Spew into this. Yes. So we got Culture Casino. We got Jesse Miller. We've also have Script Doctor with us. How you doing?
Yeah, doing great, actually. Yeah, what a good video you guys just premiered.
That thing was a nightmare to put together because my computer's been acting up all afternoon. It would have been up sooner otherwise, and we would have not been late. So I apologize for being nearly an hour late. Mike is not able to join us tonight, so sadly he won't be here, but he'll be here next time. He's dealing with a client, I think, or something like that, he said. So hopefully he gets a chance to hop in the chat at some point. If not, send all your love to Mike, the Mexican Iron Man. He needs it right now. So hopefully you ain't got the flu, Jess. That'd suck.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll be back at work tomorrow.
Well, as long as you can taste things, then it's probably not the coof.
I'm not worried about COVID. COVID's a fear-mongering tool of the left. I'm fine.
Oh, shit. So, how are you doing, Culture Casino? I haven't asked you yet.
Extraordinary. I'm doing very well. I now that I've seen the video that, I kind of felt like was going to come out post-mortem on this show. I feel like...
he's still got a post-mortem in him.
Well, I still feel like there's a lot of mortem then.
There's a couple memorials awake before the burial, really.
This was just Kevin Smith being a douche hound.
Oh, yeah.
And Andre calling him out on it. But Michael B., a.k.a. Shogun Gaming, sent us 14 Danish Corona super sticker looking like young Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance there. But then he sent me a real picture, and he's a ginger, so that doesn't quite fit. But hey, he's still a dead ringer almost. But he sent us a unicorn. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That helps keep the lights on here. And also joining us, somebody I didn't expect to join because I thought he was off to bed. But the one, the only boss man. How you doing, Andre?
Well, tired because it's almost 3 a.m. in the morning here.
I know.
I have to be up in a few hours. But yeah, no, I figured, what the hell?
Well, it's not every day that one of your employees gets blocked by...
No, that's what I figured. That's a relatively rare occurrence that we have a video about him and you get blocked in the middle of the making of it. Like, I wish we could have the time to redo it and include that, but hey, we'll save it for the post-mortem. And yes, the post-mortem is coming. As you guys were saying, there is a lot more to say about this.
Yeah, so
we've barely scratched the surface and we have all of Tom's puppetry to go through still. So yeah.
Since we didn't really, not to bury the lead, but yeah, as I was working on the recent video, and I know this happened in real time because I was taking screenshots of tweets that I needed of Kevin Smith. And as I was moving on to the next tweet I needed, all of a sudden I get this out of nowhere.
How dare you?
Wait a minute, I got a button for that. Somewhere here. Here we go.
How dare you?
Little late.
The pride of Scandinavia.
Well, did seriously? Did he know you were screenshotting his tomfoolery?
If he did, then holy shit! But it's not like that stopped me.
No.
Did George Carlin know that Kevin Smith was actually a cuck in disguise?
Oh,
George Carlin's spinning in his fucking grave.
Here's the thing that he wasn't at the time, so George Carlin did nothing wrong because you never know how a person is going to turn out later in life. At the time, I'm sure that Kevin Smith seemed like just the kind of person that George Carlin would like. Yeah. But hey, give it a few decades and some Netflix deals and stuff like that.
And a heart attack.
Yeah, and a heart attack.
I gave him all the advice I could. He still fucked it up.
Yeah. And also his wife and his daughter are like both really, really hardcore of the Kufis really nasty business, just to reference what Jesse said earlier. So with everything that comes with it, of like feminism and what have you not. So
And veganism, yeah.
Yeah, everything. All the kind of stuff that's going to change him in the worst possible ways.
Though? You could post a meme that has nothing to do with COVID and it will get a COVID warning.
Oh, yeah,
Why?
absolutely.
Yeah, why?
Or just to play it safe, I guess. Mustn't challenge the narrative.
It's a shield.
Spider Unlimited asks, have you all seen Back to the Future the musical in UK? Compound Media reported on it. I'm at loss for words. So cringe. I haven't seen it. I've seen like one song from it, and yeah, I was not that impressed.
Well, they do that a lot in the UK, like making musicals for movies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but they're not all going to be spam a lot. Like that's the thing.
Not really.
Yeah,
and while we had the premiere before, DeWall sent us a super chat. So I'm going to read that here. Hopefully he's joined us in the chat. It says, I find it interesting that he called the core fans a vocal minority. That specific term is usually utilized in conjunction with somebody else on Twitter. Interesting he would use that specific term. You know what else is interesting, DeWall, is if, well, I can't show you because unfortunately Kevin blocked me. But if you
I'm just banned, all right, help.
Yeah, you're outright banned on Twitter. If you go into the tweet where he mentioned that, I'm not hearing any of the negativity, the whole tweet that the video kind of spawned from and the interview, the ratio of negative to positive comments is insane. So I don't know where and that's my guess is that's what happened. Okay. I'm gonna walk you through how I think or why I think he blocked me. I don't think he watched our show. He maybe did, but if that's the case, then why did he block me other than he recognized my icon? Other than that, I think he went through and he noticed how many bad, how much negativity he was getting off that tweet.
We have heard before. I just want to add that Kevin Smith is someone who stalks his own fans.
Oh yeah, well, and he kind of confirmed that in the interview. And then look at what he's done with Clownfish, for fuck's sake. So, like, the other side of it is, I'm sure, I don't know if I came up on his radar after tearing that poster up on FNT. I don't know if it was anywhere in between there. But the funny part is he didn't block you, Andre.
No,
he didn't block the Midnight's Edge Twitter, but he blocked me.
Yeah, so I think it was the poster tearing at Friday night.
Maybe, but here's my other theory: is I think what he did is he went through that thread that he posted, I'm not seeing any negativity on. And since there was so much negativity, he took to any of the retweets that had the most likes and he blocked those people because my retweet of his saying, he killed the franchise was reaching, I don't know, like 400 or 500 likes when last I looked, maybe more. So I'm sure that's what he did. He went through and anybody who probably had more than a few dozen likes and was a negative, he probably blocked them. That could be. If it was the other case, then he's just so butthurt. It's not even funny.
Yeah, well,
Now, do you think he used a block bot, or do you think he did that by himself?
I wouldn't put it past him. If he was, because I
think he did it himself.
Well, I mean, but I wouldn't put it past him because if he was getting such support from, I forget the guy's name anyway, from
Malcolm Ingram.
Thank you, Malcolm. Yeah. If he was getting so much support from him, maybe he was giving him pointers on how not to see bad things.
Well, Kevin is very well aware of how to use social media. He's been a part of the internet.
But at the same time, he may be aware of it. But now he's going in conjunction with this. He'll be fed like some script and some official narrative that he's going to have to adhere to. Like, for instance, this is like the thing that DeWall mentioned in his super chat during the premiere of that video. So thank you, DeWall. I see that you're here as well. Glad to see it. That he will have been fed some narrative and some keywords to use. Like he hasn't been told, use these words, but like this is the narrative. And he may have been given like a Word document or something with like popular arguments. Feel free to rephrase as you see fit a little bit. And that's why you're going to have have many using very similar words and phrasings in defense because they're dealing with the same PR agencies that tell them how to deal with situations like these.
Well, it's no different than the news. It's all just Operation Mockingbird. Here's your script. Read it. Dance, monkey, dance.
Well, there's another part of this too, and that
Kind
is
of.
Kevin's never probably really faced this negative of a reaction. First of all,
I don't know. I think when he did Dogma, he got a pretty nasty negative
no, well,
reaction.
that was a different kind of reaction.
Yeah, but that was a measured reaction because there,
Exactly.
you had people that loved the hell out of it. So yeah, he got some angry reactions from people that he knew in advance were going to be pissed off, and it was loved by his audience. The people that loved Clerks and the people that would be into general like stoner comedies and stuff like that, they freaking loved that movie. So he got exactly the reaction he was looking for. In this case, I believe that he fully expected most people to really dig what they were doing. I think he was that deluded. Same thing that happened with Leslie Jones when they went out and they announced the female Ghostbusters, and they were reamed for it, and she was like, "Oh, I thought you were all going to be excited." Started complaining. It's like, yeah, why would anyone be excited about this kind of subversion? Like the same thing here. He's been like so taken in with people that preaching groupthink, shut down any kind of critical thinking and questions, that he's come to at least partially believe the narrative. So I do think that part of him knew that this ain't going to go well, but a bigger part of him was probably expecting to be praised and everything like that, expecting something similar to Dogma, pissing off the right people, but most everyone else were going to love it, and that didn't happen. He just got... Yeah.
Well, see, usually I go with that, but he killed He-Man twice.
Well, I'll concede also to Script that he probably did get a lot of negative feedback on Cop Out, and he did get a lot of negative feedback on Tusk, even from some of his fan base. But the difference there and the difference here is this was Kevin's first time of dipping his toe in the major arena. To this point,
and it's IP, absolutely, yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. And something else that had pre-existing fans, because whatever he made before, it kind of didn't matter because it was one of his movies anyway, whereas now he was messing in someone else's sandbox.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And on that note, I have to wake up in 4 hours here. So yeah, I'm gonna video for about...
says, Tom, do you see what you've done? Listen to how tired Andre sounds. But I know, but it's not every day that somebody gets blocked by one of their heroes.
Yeah, no, exactly.
But I can see Kevin Smith conflating this reaction with his previous other negative reactions and not understanding the impact that he had.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like before, he's like, he's usually just pissing off a small amount of people, and he's only used to getting probably a little bit of feedback because he's worked on CW movies or shows, and he's only made a few studio movies.
He's never done anything this scale,
but he's never done anything on this scale. And you can tell by the way when he said that when he went into Netflix, he was freaking out, and they're like, "Why are you freaking out?"
Yeah. But with that, I'm just gonna have a great continued stream, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
Yeah, have a great sleep there, Andre.
I'll try to have some of it at least. All right, take care, my friends.
We'll talk about it in the morning as well.
Yeah, bye.
Get some sleep.
See, he raises such a good point, though, because it's like Kevin Smith has been around for so long that you assume he's had his hand in other pots that were bigger, but he really hasn't.
No, Cop Out was his biggest film to this point, really, if you look at it.
I mean, his closest thing is didn't he get to sit in one of the X-Wings or something?
Oh, well, he's done that. He's been in.
He's done set tours. The closest thing he's done to playing with actual IP before this is as a director for television, which means you have zero power on the TV set. You just you say your 4 words: action, cut, do it faster, do it slower. That's
pretty much. By the time he came into that shit, though, script, like all the people who were going to give a shit have gone.
Not only that, the set is already runs like a fine-tuned machine.
Exactly.
There's nothing for him to do, so he just bought hamburgers for people. That's some of the stories, yeah.
And said, "Hey, how would you like to be in one of my movies?"
But the other part too, which is kind of fascinating, is that before he had his heart attack, he would usually mock his wife and his daughter for all their, veganisms and social justice stuff, and then after that heart attack, he doesn't do that anymore. And I think because he, had that life-threatening event where he felt like every choice I'd made that led me to this has been wrong. So now I should probably listen to the people who've never had this, i.e., his wife and daughter. And he's now lost what made him have his career in the first place.
Meanwhile, look, if your kid grows up to be all SJW, I blame you firmly. I mean, what the hell, man?
Oh, well, director fathers don't often have as much relationship with their kids as they'd like. They're usually too busy.
I will say Kevin probably does have a little bit closer relationship with his kid than a lot of people do because he's done a lot of movies and he is a bit of a homebody. But still, I'm not gonna. I do agree with you on the fact though that when he had his heart attack, that's probably when he changed, and this was the last of. And I agree with what I said the other morning. Like when he was talking in that interview between talking to Netflix and talking to Malcolm. That was it. That was the last of whatever was left of his give a shit. It's gone now. He's no longer the guy he was before.
Well, you watched that special he had that he filmed literally before he had his heart attack, and he's a very different Kevin Smith. He's far closer to the one that you would recognize than what happened. Like after a few months, he's not the same person ever again.
Yeah, you're right. DeWall sends in $5 to us this time instead of the main channel and says, "Don't feel bad. I'm blocked too. I'm blocked by channels I have never memed." So you're blocked by Kevin Smith. Wow. That was another thing I noticed is that that's why I brought that up earlier. Is he was pretty selective on who he was blocking because a lot of people were chiming back to me, "Oh, I'm not blocked. I'm not blocked." And I let a few other people know that thought it was
Did you tell them to try harder?
No. Well, I mean, I don't know what I did to set him off. That's the thing. It's a short story. Sends in $1.99. I recognize that icon. Did you change your name? Short story. Dogma was 1999. Not a lot of social media back then. Very true. And also, that's the thing.
Email threads and message boards were.
Yeah, that was probably the closest I ever really got to talking to him because I was a big part of that community on the
USQ
Userverse and shit like that. Yeah. And then Steven, aka Deleted Scene, sends in 20 smackaroos. Holy crap, holy. Thank you so much, Steven. Says, hail, Tom, Andre, Script, Jesse, get well soon. Wrenches and chat. I tire of Hollywood's attitude. They could have been heroes during a trying time. We're just WSs to them. What does that mean? Should we bother to review their crap?
Oh, I think he means white supremacists.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're white supremes.
We're supreme sandwiches.
Yeah. I'm a mutt. I can't be a white supreme.
To a point, Steven, I agree with you in the last part because we've gotten to that point kind of with like Star Trek and a few other things. Because it's like with Batwoman, I mean, I've gotten to the point where like that, I'm almost convinced myself that the only reason that show's still on the air is so that they, so people like has to keep reviewing it, and if it goes off the air, then clearly we've won, right? Because that's the only reason that show's still on the air. No show with that low of ratings has ever stayed on the air that long.
No,
not that I can think of.
It's like it's the one property that literally cannot die.
And it is just because of people like Az that they cannot let it die, right? I mean,
I don't know about that. I think it's because they're
not just him, but in general, it's like they have to go by the fact that if they let it go, then they've lost. The message is lost. But
it's amazing that they don't eventually run out of money with all these great business moves.
But if you've noticed, we have quit reviewing a lot of the Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
I'll be surprised how much a lot of the stuff going forward we will review. Andre hasn't even expressed a desire to do any kind of MOTU review. I think we did a first part review, but I don't think we talked about it, but I think that's the extent of it. We're going to talk about Hawkeye tomorrow, but we're not going to like straight up review it. I don't think. I got to watch the rest of the episodes, but I don't really want to.
The most recent one was the best one, but that's not saying much.
I didn't hate the first episode, but that's all I've seen so far.
I mean, I'm impressed that they're actually 40+ minute episodes. That's kind of nice.
I mean,
it'd be nicer if they actually utilize the time better, but I mean, at least it's,
as part of all of this, I mean, Kevin today was talking about the fact that he's in the 50 shows that you should watch on Netflix.
Top 50?
Yeah.
That's not great.
Yeah, the 50 best TV shows on Netflix. And he's number 19. They don't actually number him 1 to 50 or anything because, then this probably would be 50. But, I want to read this description because I disagree with it 1,000%. It says, the proudly geeky writer and director Kevin Smith is the primary creative force behind this revamp of the 1980s He-Man toy line and TV cartoon, aimed at grown-up fans of the original series, but accessible to almost anyone who enjoys sword and sorcery stories and animated adventures. Masters of the Universe Revelation continues some of the storylines from the original show, set in a world where warriors and mystics protect the Castle Grayskull from Skeletor's forces of evil. Though still kid-friendly... What? Still kid-friendly.
Hold on. I got a button for that.
What? It's kid-friendly because they need to inundate the children with, gay heaven.
With the sexual innuendos of...
Oh, not just that. Even the sex with Skeletor and Evil Lyn. No.
And
I'm just curious. Is he meat from the neck down?
And here's the thing. They say, and they put it in parentheses, the following statement. So they'll still kid-friendly, parenthesis, so long as those kids are old enough to handle scary-looking monsters and violence, and parenthesis. I'm like, there's sexual innuendo. Anyway, this new version of Masters of the Universe has a more mature plot, including surprise twists and even death. Also recommended for youngsters who like... They're recommending it for youngsters who like animation and fantasy? Oh, they add She-Ra and the Princess of Power from the same mythological universe. F them very much. All right. I'm just sorry. I was just offended by that descriptive. Oh, we lost someone.
No, I just changed over to this so people knew what you were talking about.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And actually, I want to thank Andre for sending me this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see this because I was like, oh, what is Lorena retweeting from Kevin that I can't see?
Damn, she must be pissed.
At this point, we're gonna have to screenshot tweets as a regular practice and just stockpile them because...
I love how he starts with not trying to piss anybody off. I wish I could almost be pissed that you blocked me, Kevin, but I'm not. I'm not really anything.
Hoping we get a season 2.
And real quick, if you guys want to
that doesn't sound too
link
promising.
things, the Wayback Machine was down a long time ago and got corrupted, but everybody's using archive.today for that now.
Interesting. I wonder what that reasoning is behind.
Well,
because if you put it through it doesn't give the original site any clicks, and it also archives it.
Yeah, Wayback also is publicly funded, so they do it through donation. That's not like a business per se.
Darren Wagner sends in $5 and reminds us that Smith wrote Batman, Daredevil, and $6 Million Man comics. He always sucks doing existing IPs. Yeah, those were comics though, so they weren't the same. And from what I recall, I thought his Daredevil run was okay, but I know
Daredevil and Green Arrow were okay.
Yeah, but Batman was the one where he made Batman. Yeah, those were comics though, so they weren't the same. And
he made Batman
he took an inside joke with regards to firemen and he tried to apply it to Batman, and it's just, well, first of all, that's not a real thing because I know firemen. They're like, that doesn't happen.
I was a fireman. What's the joke?
The joke is that when you first enter a fire, you automatically wet yourself just a little.
Why?
But like I've never heard that before, and most firemen I know are like, yeah, usually we just go to the bathroom when we have to, so in case we don't have to hold it while we go on call.
Well, I've been on a lot of calls and I've never pissed myself. So
yeah.
It's silly.
I mean,
he tried to equate it to like, the glass of warm water in the hand when you're sleeping, but it's like, that's not, no. I mean, that's
not the same thing. And another thing is you wouldn't want any moisture excess inside the suit, because when the fire is extinguished and the room turns into steam, it gets to the point where if somebody was to pat you on the back, it would leave a burn handprint because your turnout gear is the only thing protecting you. So if you had water inside that, you'd probably boil your balls off.
Yeah.
Fred Sacco sends in $10. Thank you so much. Says MOTU was my childhood, but its destruction is just another log on the fire after what has been done to Doctor Who, Star Wars, and Trek. I have my memories and DVDs. F this new trash. Yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that way, Fred. We've gotten to that point, and to me, yeah, MOTU was a big hit.
But they could have done something really well with it, and if it wasn't for the overly masculine women, I mean, the Skeletor design looks good. I mean, they could have gone someplace good with this, and they just shit all over the place.
That's what hurts. That's what bothers me more is the fact that it doesn't just affect my history with MOTU in general. Like that can't change. That's already happened. But the potential of what we could have seen and that it's severe lacking is what is most upsetting, as opposed to anything else. It's like you can't ruin your childhood. Your childhood is in the past. It's made you the person who you are, and so long as you feel like you're a good person and that was a positive influence on you, that can't be changed. But it's what they're doing previous to it, which is kind of corrupting the purity of what you once had, and the ability to sort of relish in its perpetuity. And because it's like someone decided, oh, we're just gonna build on top of this, but we're not gonna make really builds. We're just gonna kind of crack and weaken it and make you feel resentful for having liked this in the first place. And I think that's you don't let them win by allowing them to achieve that.
Script, I got a question for you. I want to see if you've noticed this, to see if you think it's true of like Hollywood people or even, film production or whatever. But a long time ago, my little guitar teacher, who's my son's piano teacher now, he told me that most musicians, no matter how good they are, have a 15-year window where all their main creativity really comes from. And do you think the same is the same of people who put things in a visual spectrum? Because it just seems like most of these people are just out of hip. They're out of clever. They're out of creativity.
Well, I would say struggle is a good foster for creativity, and also being able to interact with people outside of the industry is also really helpful. And if you can maintain that properly, you don't have any real time limit because you're kind of got your finger on the pulse of society. The problem with the industry is that it's so demanding of you once you're a success that you are removed from that society that you can't really maintain an interaction with, or at least an honest one. And that at that point, yeah, you would have a limitation of time for creativity because you're going to be fed information that's not going to be challenging you as much, or at least in the ways that help. And as a result, your creativity, your ingenuity kind of gets dulled down over time. I've seen some really great people start up and get successful very quickly and have a lot of potential, and then just touring the Hollywood circuit, getting inside various circles or clubs, as Cameron Pasha puts it, just kind of chips away at that, bit by bit until there's almost nothing there. And then, but they end up being our consultants or just people hustling around and doing, yes sir assignment works instead of pitching or developing their own ideas. It's kind of a tragic thing, but in a catch-22, and it's really hard. Only usually the ones that are very successful and can don't care so much about what the big players of the industry think can achieve that type of stuff.
Yeah, you remind me of Trading Places a little bit, because it's almost like the industry is like the two old stockbrokers. So you get that Eddie Murphy type to come in and shake everything up. They don't even know what's going on anymore.
But the other part too is that there's lots of people in Hollywood that love those voices because they desperately need that. They need to stay current. They also need to be able to make stuff that they know is going to last. That like, oh yeah, we've come up with this movie or this potential franchise. This is going to be guaranteed money for like 5 to 10 years. They like that type of stuff, especially if they can do it on a proper budget that's not going to put them at any financial risk. But as much as they like it, being able to foster and encourage that after it has started is really beyond them.
That's pretty much the plot of Rocky 3, isn't it?
Plot of Rocky. It's also the Citizen Kane effect. You get so enamored with just trying to be the best in your industry that you lose sight of the things that got you there in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're sitting in front of a massive fireplace in 100-foot wide shot.
Yeah, pretty much. And talking about your mistresses,
or in a gym surrounded by women.
Yeah, and that's true.
Get the hell out of here.
That's true of any creative industry, whether it be, you know, corporatized Hollywood or something in something smaller in another part of town.
I just had to laugh.
It's always an
because Jesse
eventuality.
went to Rocky 3. I never really thought of it that way, but he's right. And I never really thought of the comparison between Rocky 3 and Citizen Kane until now.
So where's Mr. T to shake things up?
Show you a woman. Show you a woman a real man. Hey, Rocky. Hey, that boy. I want your title.
He's afraid to fight me.
Well, that's one of the reasons. Well, I mean, Jesse, your question is really great. It's one of the reasons why I always encourage, especially people who I end up like doing consultants for, or if they're amateur writers coming up, it's like, yeah, make your own thing as well. Stick with that and keep building on it and using some of your money that you get for the professional stuff to fund and foster that, so that you can kind of keep something of your own and also realize the value of, you know, critical thinking when dealing with your story development, because that will come in handy when you have to like pitch for an assignment job and you come at it at a different angle than anyone else in town is doing. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people in town pitch the exact same take for an assignment gig as everyone else, and they don't even realize it. But if you can, you know, build something of your own, be it either like a small YouTube show or a comic book or a novel series or something of that nature that keeps you actively creative and is able to also, something can sell, maybe not a huge hit, but like modestly enough that you can support yourself, that will feed into your ability to maintain and hold on to your creative juices as you do industry stuff.
And you're absolutely right, because like if I came up to some big wigs with something that I worked and toiled on and I knew was tight, right, and I believed in, I came up to them, they'll reject me. But Kevin Smith could go up to those same people on the same day and give them My Little Pony, but, you know, more catered towards the brony community, and they'd be like, oh, that's fun, that's brilliant.
Well, it's funny you mention that. Tekkaman Blade just says Care Bears is getting an adult series on Netflix. No kidding.
Christ.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Care Bears with more sodomy.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
They're going to deal with divorce and, you know, transitioning. And
don't you care anymore?
A lot of My Truth being thrown
the whole show will be about getting the rainbow back. The rainbow will disappear and they'll all just be questing to get the rainbow back. Yeah. Coming for your kids, folks.
They did say that. Ben Wade, the nice gunslinger, says Smith is lucky it's Netflix. They don't care about popularity or view. Beware, after second season, they cancel everything after that. Well, it sounds like he doesn't even know if there is going to be a second season yet.
Which is interesting, because this would be the time when Netflix and Mattel in general would be pushing for production to move forward if their sales numbers were good, right?
I can't.
Or are they waiting till after Christmas to see if there's going to be a rush? Because part of me thinks that's not going to be really going towards He-Man. It might be going towards Star Wars with the Book of Boba Fett dropping in a few weeks.
We'll see. He said it in that one tweet, though. That's what I was trying to do there, but I don't have it in that line. So I was like, whatever. But yeah, he even said, here's hoping on. That's like 2 or 3 times now he said that. So it doesn't sound like it's a done deal.
Mm-hmm.
Mecha J says, so what you're saying, Script, is Hollywood kills creativity.
No, corporatism kills creativity. The Hollywood's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship between business interests and creative art, but it hasn't been that way for, I would say, around 20 years, almost 20 years. The business has been superseding the creativity, as opposed to someone coming up with an interesting idea, a great script, and a great production. The corporate side is saying, I don't know how to sell this, but our metric says this stuff sells better, so let's manipulate the art to the metric of what sells better. And that just isn't how the industry was built to begin with, and nor was it how it was sustained. It's actually a formula for failure, and we're seeing it with all these tentpole productions far more frequently than we were expecting. And it's harder for the powers that be that aren't in accounting to reconcile that, because the accountants know, like, they see the real numbers. And from what they've been telling me for a while, some of my friends in that area, that it's not looking good.
Action Com says, are they reaching the younger generation with this stuff? I mean, that's the stated reason that they're doing all this to Star Wars, Trek, Who, and MOTU. Not really. Not that I can tell, at least not in any substantial way. Again, you have another side of it is where you get into the collector side of things. Like, those are the only people buying toys. Kids don't really buy toys no more. They do in small numbers, but like it's not to the extent they used to. Like that's why the adult collector market has like boomed in comparison to, you know, the kids market.
No, I've said it before.
Kids are interfacing with technology as opposed to imagination.
You know, when I was a kid, I had all the real Ghostbusters, had all the Ninja Turtles, had a lot of He-Man stuff too. But who was buying it? My mom, my dad. I might buy one with my allowance, but it was my mom and my dad. So you really think if you pissed off my mom and my dad, they'd buy that shit? No, they'd tell me it was crap and they'd move me on to something else. Now, take the modern age, and we're all those kids. So if it is crap, we're not going to buy it.
Well, there's a different level to that also, Jesse. Like for instance, my parents didn't really like Ninja Turtles, didn't care for, you know, that kind of shit. My dad hated Gremlins, for instance, stuff like that.
Oh, you poor kid.
But now,
here's the thing: your parents recognize the passion and love that you had.
Exactly.
Right?
So they didn't really do anything about it then. But you're right, Jesse. You're making a good point. The difference is here is they're reusing all these franchises from when we were kids, as opposed to like then most of the stuff was original. The only thing I can think of was like Superman and Batman, right?
Sure.
Superman was a situation where it was treated with so much respect. I don't remember anybody ever saying, well, fuck, Christopher Reeve's not my Superman.
No, God, no. Christopher Reeve's everybody's Superman.
Exactly. Like at that time, they treated it with enough respect. And at that point, superheroes hadn't really been treated with that kind of respect. So I'm sure every Superman fan was crying when they saw that film if they grew up on Superman. So that was one of the few things you had. The closest thing I can think of was Batman, right? Because Batman came out and there was a lot of people who were just like, no, Adam West is Batman. I don't know what this shit is, right?
This is so dark.
And it did win over a lot of people, though, right? Because my dad was one of those people who's like, Mr. Mom can't be Batman. Adam West is Batman, right? Like, you know what I mean? And then he saw the movie and he's like, fuck yeah, that was awesome. You know?
It is weird, though, because Adam West, like, yeah, sure, the show is campy, but you got to remember that this guy's a 6 foot tall cowboy.
That's my point.
He was 6'2", and he was very Batman. Like, they defined his height and weight off of Adam West in the comics.
And my dad, see, here's the difference, though, is my dad was of that generation where they just never, outside of Superman getting respect, he never really imagined Batman could be that dark and that serious.
Look at the script we did for
exactly
theater. It was
the Tom Mankiewicz one,
It
that
was
a great
so
script.
mixed between the new darker version and half of it was campy.
I'll give you even a better example yet. Wrath of Khan.
There we go.
Not only do you have a franchise
love letter to Star Trek fans,
20 years old at that point, roughly.
Yeah.
But exactly, you have a new generation. And Nicholas Meyer, even though he wasn't a fan of Star Trek, did a great job because he knew what made Star Trek popular, understood the franchise, and said, I think I can bring something new to the table. And that's where these new people, they're trying to do that, and they're failing left and right.
And you know what about Wrath of Khan? I mean, if you think of the character of Khan, he was the warlord, he was the best, he was the superhuman. Right. So what do? You don't take a movie and you don't have him try to take over the universe. You just have it in that very small setting of him being trapped on that planet. That really is pretty brilliant.
Well, not just that, it just shows that's his fallacy, is that his obsession with Kirk is he could do all kinds of things, right?
It's his ego you can play off of,
exactly.
And it led to a mano at the end, who's the better leader.
Because even his son is like, you have a ship. Why don't we could conquer any world? Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
And Khan looks at it by two ways. Number one, for revenge. Number two, even if he does conquer a planet, what are the odds that Kirk would come back to liberate? Like, he's trying to do all the math in his head. He's so obsessed he doesn't actually see the forest for the trees. But the other brilliant aspect of it is they don't end it with a physical confrontation. It's all a battle of wits and knowledge and experience. It's all
like a chess match.
Exactly.
Because in the TV episode,
better.
in the TV episode, they already did it with a physical confrontation. Kirk had to grab a pipe out of engineering and beat Khan down with it. And even then, that was a struggle. But they're like, okay. And Meyer's like, well, we've already done that part. Let's do something different, which is, okay, it's a battle of wits. Kirk's 50 years old right now. We shouldn't really be fighting people. So let's keep them ship and make it, like a game of chess and poker, because that's the other part too. Chess has a lot of rules. Poker has the ability to bluff, which means you don't need a winning hand to win a game.
That's a better analogy, script, because that plays into the Kobayashi Maru as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I can say this, and I don't have the Samba TV numbers yet for this bologna sausage or anything else, but I can tell you the things that people did not enjoy. And as we all know, one of those things was Hawkeye. Only
I heard that was 40% down from Loki.
It was only 1.5 million U.S. household watched Hawkeye in the first 5 days of streaming.
Wow, that's 3 times the audience for Batwoman.
Yeah, but I mean, seriously, like the like that is now the lowest Disney Plus premiere viewership that they've had since WandaVision. WandaVision was a 1.6 million via Samba. Falcon and Winter Soldier was 1.8. Loki was 2.5.
Yeah, that's a nice little peak and valley.
Yeah. Yep. And here's the funny thing. Cowboy Bebop live action in its first week. Now, mind you, can watch all of that. That only drew 981,000 eyeballs.
Wow.
Now, is that for like the entire series they're saying?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's
that means a bunch of people watched that first episode and then checked
said, nah. Yeah, and consider that's the Samba. So as I always say, take the Samba number I'm giving you and double it, and that's basically what, Samba TV plus Roku and the others, that's basically the number you're getting, how many people actually watched. So I mean, this is even worse. Home Sweet Home Alone, on its first weekend of streaming, it pulled 448,000 peoples.
Now that's the one with the British kid, and he lives.
That is a
mansion.
Batwoman number.
Yeah, that's a Batwoman number. Now, yeah, you're right, Jesse. It's I saw bits and pieces of it.
Now, if he's a British kid in a mansion, why aren't there? Where's
terrible.
The help? Where's the help?
It is fucking terrible. I don't know where the help is, but like the whole thing is a really stupid scenario setup. Like basically these out of work parents think that this kid stole a doll from them that's worth a bunch of money that they were going to sell to buy their kids Christmas gifts, right? So they go.
You can stop right there.
Yeah, but basically, then the setup is just like the regular Home Alone. He gets left home alone after. And not only is he like worse than Kevin, I mean, this kid is like a straight up prick.
Yeah, but how come now we got to go through this whole movie watching them get nails through their feet and paint cans to the forehead and just think these poor people are just trying to get back what's stolen from them so they can get their kids presents? That's sad. That's horrible.
You can't laugh at that shit, right?
No, you can't.
It is impossible. Like you get into the movie and you're like, wait a minute, that's the
It's
setup?
like trying to have sex in a hospital.
Exactly. And then they got Buzz in there. And I don't care. I don't think anybody cares about spoilers. They use him as a shitty reason to get around why nobody believes that the kid is home alone.
Huh?
Yeah, because in this day and age, with so much technology and be able to contact people and get it, like they have to they come up with this convoluted way of, because like the kid calls the cops or somebody call, or the parents call and the cops want him to check. And Buzz is the cop. He's like, my brother does this every year. It's not real.
Why? Yeah, but why?
And the brother claims he's home alone every year.
Yeah, like that's the joke. So like he does it as a joke or whatever, I guess. So like, and so they spend like 2 or 3 minutes on this fucking scene where he's just like, it just ends up, he's like, it's my brother, it's a joke, just forget it, it's not real. And that's how they get around the kid being stuck home alone. So then, yeah, like Jesse said, then you get the setup of them coming in to burgle the kid, and he does the typical Home Alone thing, so you can't really laugh at him because you feel bad for him.
Quick question: so the British kid isn't overseas; he's over in Chicago.
No, I think it does. If I remember right, it takes place in the UK. Buzz just happens to be a cop.
Buzz,
maybe
wait,
it's
How can
Buzz-
a
wait,
American citizen be a
whoa,
UK
whoa,
cop?
whoa, wait,
Or maybe it is in the US. I can't remember. I was only paying half
I
attention.
don't think
to
that
it.
a guy like Buzz would be able to go overseas and become a law enforcement officer.
No, you're right. It probably does take. I can't remember exactly what city it's in.
It'd have
But I
to
don't think
take
it's
place
Chicago.
probably in like Chicago or something, or in Illinois, because that's where the first one took
I
place.
don't
right?
remember.
It would
where
have
it
to,
was.
because imagine an American named Buzz.
Yeah,
They
it was
look at him like
America.
he was a
Yeah,
moron.
never mind. You're right.
Because that
They
was
were
the
just-
biggest issue I had with Bridesmaids is why is this British guy being a U.S. cop? That's not.
Somebody,
That's not how it works.
somebody remembers in the chat. Let me know. I don't remember them saying when because I was literally. Yeah, it's the kid from Jojo Rabbit. But like I literally was in and out watching it, and it was in the background and shit like that.
What's
Somebody
a
else was
Jojo
watching it.
Rabbit?
It was a movie that came out last year or the year
It's
before.
actually not a bad movie. It's kind of sweet.
But yeah, so then basically in the end you find out that the kid didn't even take the doll. He took a soda, and
Why was he in these people's house?
because they actually knew, like they're friends of the parents or whatever, or relatives or something like that. I can't even remember what the fuck it was.
So now you're gonna go break into your friends or relatives' house?
It was a friend's, I think. Yeah, it was really fucking stupid and convoluted.
And
The
the kid
whole
isn't gonna
fucking thing was
just, and the
stupid.
kid knowing them isn't gonna just be like, "Oh, hi, Dave and Martha or whatever, and come on in. My parents are at home. Can you help me?" This movie's stupid.
It was pretty stupid. And then in the end, they realized that the kid didn't really take the doll. It was one of the other kids that did something with it or something or other. And then, so they all have a happy Christmas together. And it's just ridiculous. And it's even worse because this family is like so rich. And then the other family is like, what? Yeah, it's just dumb. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing. Like I said, it was obviously not worth watching. I just caught bits and pieces here and there and kind of grasped what it was about. And I'm just like, this is stupid. That's stupid. Like, what the fuck? So anyway, Rico Zorro says, cheers, meat in chat. I blame Kevin Smith's backbone and laziness. If it's success, he does the humble brag. Sucks. Blame the other guy. Thoughts?
I don't know if we have seen that pattern yet, but that's probably the start of something.
You're probably true. Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him. And then as far as the blame the other guys thing, that could have been his way of getting out of this, actually. Because all he had to do is blame Ted Biacelli and Rob, what's his face, the guy from DC and stuff who knows the MOTU stuff. Because those are guys who really did most of this. And Ted Biacelli is the one that I think had most to do with all the crap. Honestly, he could just throw them under the bus and say, look, I was just brought in and this shit was already kind of pre-established, like he really could have. I don't know why he hasn't yet.
Well, it's always easy to take the credit even when it's not yours, but it's a lot harder to admit defeat. So it's a lot easier to just pass the buck, and eventually the buck's going to stop on somebody. And as long as it's not you, you don't care anymore. It's very sleazy. It's just all for me, be a leech, and then shit on everybody else. That's how a lot of people go through life, and it's pathetic, and they usually fail upwards. Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in society anymore, apparently.
I mean, I can't really argue with that, other than the fact that we can have faith in society when society starts being a little bit more active, but it's really hard to do that when there's some other entities in play preventing people from being active.
I still have another problem with Home Alone too, because back in the day you could have a Home Alone. These days you can't have Home Alone anymore, and I'll tell you why. Back in the day you had what was called a closed floor plan. Nowadays you have open floor plan homes. So in an open floor plan home, you're pretty much just going to shoot your invaders from across the house, and then it's over.
Yeah, there's no real walls. The other part that bothered me with Home Alone 2 is, where do you find a building in that part of Manhattan that's not occupied? Even if it is under construction, there's always somebody in there.
Yeah, that didn't make sense. Even when they built Trump Tower, he'd build 30 floors, then he'd build another 30 floors. He'd start renting out the bottom ones, then he'd go on to the top 30 floors. So he'd have 3 stages at once.
Yep.
You always have people in there. Nothing's
right next to Tiffany's jewelry.
Dude, I wouldn't want to walk past there with a woman. Fuck that.
Oh, shit.
They have an elevator operator in Tiffany's.
That's like in Vegas on a main strip. You can't not walk past the Gucci store. Yeah, thanks, Dick.
Did you have something to add there, Culture?
Oh no. I just you know me. I jumped down the rabbit hole of all these shows and the numbers and how many devices are now tracked based on Q3 numbers and everything else.
I have a question for you because there is one surprisingly okay Disney Plus show that was Turner and Hooch. What are the numbers on that?
Oh, you know what? I actually went looking for that. I can't find them, but I'm working on it. I'll get them. And
that reminded me.
I actually
Turner
applied
and Hooch
for.
got canceled. Script.
What's that?
Yeah, it got
Turner
canceled.
and Hooch got canceled.
Oh, I figured it would because it was not woke enough.
Yeah, I also applied for real time box office returns globally, so I'll be able to. Hopefully, if I'm accepted, I'll be able to check them like every single day. But not and have the same kind of estimates that come into like the numbers and places like that. But now, as of the end of the third quarter, between Samba and Roku, there's over 112 million active devices currently in the U.S. That are tracked. So it's bigger pool than it was a year ago, which is amazing. So, and they're about 8 to 10 million apart, depending upon what numbers you believe between Samba and Roku. Roku's slightly ahead of Samba now. So, anyway.
Fascinating. That's
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's
that's good because again, the more people that are using the digital stuff, the more it's going to be required by those streaming services to get additional revenue by releasing the numbers for ad placement. So I think within 5 years, we're going to start seeing hardcore numbers on the streaming services.
And my end around for all of that's going to be, from the advertising side, because I'm going to get in. From the advertising side to see what the rates are and what they are saying they're getting per impression. So I'll be able to figure that backwards.
I suspect they're going to use the old school British model where there'll be an ad before the show and there'll be an ad after the show, but there'll be nothing in between.
That would, but that works.
It does
right?
work, yeah.
You pay more for it, but it's more valuable. So.
There you go. And Chad Rupnarine, if I'm saying that right, Rupnarine. Says, in my opinion, if someone blocks you, then you're probably right.
I was blocked by a lot of people from my movie time tweet, so I think I'm pretty right.
It usually means they've run out of arguments, and if you keep bringing up arguments, they're just going to obviously lose. So
Kevin said in the Screen Rant article exactly what he was doing. He's ignoring it.
It's like when you tip over your king in chess.
Yeah. Glinzer says, outside of Star Trek Wrath of Khan especially, what do you all think were the best TV adaptations? Addams Family, Fugitive, and Maverick gets my votes. Those are all great votes.
Now you're talking about
to
the
a movie,
Julia, right?
Yeah,
Fugitive was good. Maverick was good.
I actually enjoyed the Beverly Hillbillies. Actually,
I enjoyed the Beverly Hillbillies. I enjoyed the first Brady Bunch film a lot.
The Brady
More
Bunch,
than I should have.
actually.
Yes.
The second
Yeah,
one
that was decent.
better.
I didn't even like the show.
The second one was pretty good, but like the first one was like really funny.
It was funny, but like the reason I lean towards the second one is because of the whole
Gilligan's Island connection.
Yeah, and I love that they play with all the Greg and Marsha sleeping together and all that kind of shit. Stuff they like mix in with stuff that happened in behind the scenes and shit.
Well, I have one that nobody's going to agree with me on.
Go for it.
Go for it.
I like the A-Team.
No, actually, I've never seen it, but I've heard a lot of people liked it.
It's not as good as the show.
No.
Because it's not as fun, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Murdoch.
Yeah.
A lot of
Liam
people like
Neeson's
Charlie's Angels,
Murdoch.
but I
You
didn't.
had I don't remember the guy who played Mr. T's character. Bradley Cooper, I'm not a
his name was
personal fan of. I
Rampage.
think he needs to learn how to do comedy and not as a drama, because that's kind of his weak link there.
Yeah, but I did like when Liam as Hannibal, they were going to shoot him with his own gun. And they were like, his gun doesn't even have a firing pin. They didn't think that he was picking his cuffs with it.
Like the show is more animated than the film, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of good action scenes in it, and they did bring back Face Man.
I'm sure there's a few more I can't think of offhand, but I've been watching the Addams Family 4K. I know. What do you mean watching? Yeah, it's been taking me forever to watch one movie because I gotta stop all the time to do shit. But
yeah, that's actually how I consume media now. It's like in little bursts. It's like I get 10 minutes to like see this part of an episode or something because it's so much.
Does Coneheads count?
Conan's counts, Naked Gun counts because that's from Police Squad, which is also a great show.
Gun. Oh, God,
Search up Police Squad if you can. I think it's only on DVD. I don't think they never.
It's on Blu-ray now.
It is on Blu-ray. Ooh, I gotta find that.
Yep, it's actually it was released overseas, and I got it through Amazon. It's region free.
Ooh, Sergeant Bilko wasn't too bad with Steve Martin.
Oh, that's right. That one was all right. Yeah.
That also had
dude. Sergeant Bilko was the shit. That movie was
with
great.
Bill Hartman made that movie awesome.
There's another one that came out in that period too, and I'm trying to think.
I always quote
McHale's Navy
because he says
no, it was actually an
update. Sanobit's got McHale's Navy in a super chat, but yeah.
Oh, yep, there it is. Yeah.
Was that actually a show before though?
McHale's Navy was a show.
Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, Ernest Borgnine. Yeah.
There's the trilogy though. There was 3 non-connected movies. It was Down Periscope, McHale's Navy, and Sergeant Bilko. But I did like Bilko because he said, "I never bet on a sporting event without knowing the outcome beforehand. It's just sloppy."
That's funny.
Yeah. I put up an image from a while ago, like where he's like, "I've got a plan," and he spells PALN, PALN, because he's just like flustered. He doesn't know what to do. I'm like, that's a good joke.
No, I was thinking of Down Periscope. That's why.
God,
Down Periscope's not off a TV show though.
That's why. Yeah, that's why I was like, wait a minute. I was mixing the two up. That's why.
But that's also a good movie.
Yeah.
It is a good movie. Yeah.
Man, Kelsey Grammer was so good in that, and so was what's the redhead chick? I think Smoking Hot.
It's one of the
Lauren
few movies
Holly
that
was
Rob
in it,
Schneider actually. It's one of the few movies actually like Rob Schneider in too.
Rob Schneider does a great performance in that as the XO.
Look, I have to say, what was it? 3 Ninjas, where Rob Schneider was just amazing.
No, that's Surf Ninjas.
Surf Ninjas, that's what it is. It was just,
but you know what? Speaking of Down Periscope, that should be one of the B-rated A movie or A-rated B movies because that's a really good movie, but it's totally a B movie. Like
sure.
Yeah, we could find that in a way. I'm sure we can mix that one in there. I like that one.
Oh man.
Twitchy Fingers says, if these SJWs really believe all this stuff, why don't they just go all the way and make Jeebus gay? Don't give them ideas.
Look, I mean, nobody was there. Maybe, you know.
No.
Just have Jesus and Santa Claus pounding it out.
This
is our Christmas commercial.
Norwegian Santa Claus in it.
Man, I still think, you know, there might have been something in that commercial, but it was cut so poorly.
It didn't advertise anything.
Yeah, that's
no. I disagree. True. That commercial's dumb as shit.
It just seems like
really
this guy's
the guy. He would fuck him more than once a year.
I still think that this is just a guy who broke into his house in 1 year. He just ran with it.
Hey, no, Uncle needs to realize he's a side piece. He can do better than that. Motherfucker only comes once a year.
Wow.
That's a double entendre.
Yeah, it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Talk about unloading once a year. I'm just saying. I got your gift right here. Yeah, anyway.
Come peek inside Santa's sack.
Oh, Santa's sack's full. Nikki D says, do we know anything substantial about the new Disney chairperson replacing Bob Iger? Is there a good thing or bad thing for the company? Yeah, go ahead, Culture.
Yeah, she's been there in the board at least for a long time. She's got a 14-year history with the company. It might be a little longer than that, but I can definitely say it's at least 14 years. Again, you know, if you're looking for management background, it's there. The board positions usually don't matter as far as creativity goes.
No, they use like financial decisions and
yeah. I mean, it's not uncommon for Disney to have, you know, their most cherished person, which is, you know, their CEO, also be the chairman or chairperson in this case, but there's a background there. The question is her leadership going to be led by, you know, by the same thing that essentially all of finances are now with the ESG crap? And the answer to that's yes. So you're going to continue to have all this other garbage that got put in place because of finance. Now, there are bills, legislation pieces that are in the works and have already been submitted in some cases that kind of like dismantle that kind of thought process behind business. We'll see if any of those move forward. Politically, the company doesn't change direction, which means, be prepared for more of the same.
Yay.
Yeah.
Would you like it in gray or gray?
That's what you're going to get. Actually, you know what? It's a little lighter gray. I mean, let's just be honest. It's a little bit lighter.
Just a touch of gray. It's a good song. Xenobit says with $2, Home Sweet Home Alone, Santa Inc., Merry Christmas. I think he's trying to say that those are not the greatest of Christmas films that we've gotten this year. Yeah.
Can't we just go watch Elf and be happy?
Yeah. Also, really just have to move that one N over 2 space, and it's satanic.
Oh shit!
Joker rearrange the letters and Satan.
Here's what I do. I start with Die Hard, and then I watch Home Alone, and then I watch Scrooged, and then I watch Santa Claus. And if I need a pick me up right before Christmas Day, I watch the Capra masterpiece. It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
that's a good one.
And, I like A Christmas Carol with Alistair Sim.
Well, that's very good. Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, and all day Christmas Day, you can always change the channel and you can see A Christmas Story for 24 hours straight.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, on TBS usually, right?
And they usually avoid that horrible sequel.
Yeah, yeah. There is so much Christmas out there in the world. I mean, the new stuff is they can't compete. They aren't creative any longer. And they can't compete with the good things that are already there. And that's just the way it is.
Joker Voice sends in $5, says, Kevin made MOTU to beg Marvel and Lucasfilm for a full-time gig. He tried, he got tired of shilling and crying and not being paid for it. Could be. There was that stupid rumor going around right after the first part of MOTU dropped that he was going to possibly direct something for Star Wars, but I never believed it for a minute. But he is on their radar, so I wouldn't be surprised at some point if he directs like an episode of something, but that'd be about it. Xenobit says
what happens actually goes into production because there's only 2 shows right now that's
true. Xenobit says McCall's Navy, Naked Gun. It was also for TV show first, but I'm sure he said that before you did script. So, but yeah, great choices there. I'm sure there's a few here. I know that I'm missing, but Mecha J says Seth Rogen must be taking a page out of Kevin Smith's book. He's been on Twitter whining about the backlash of his new anti-Christmas movie, Santa Inc.
Yeah, probably smoking from the same stash.
And Culture actually was sharing the 3% that it's getting on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's impressive.
Oh, Billy White's got me, man. Muppet Christmas with John Denver. I also like the 1987 Muppet Family Christmas. I actually was able to buy that on DVD at a convention.
Wow. The weird thing about that, and I'll say this because I got to get going, but the downside here for this particular film for Rotten Tomatoes, or excuse me, TV series, the Santa Inc. thing, is that they've only talked 2 professional critics into watching it.
2? Okay.
Yeah, and he's claiming that white supremacists are going after the movie. I haven't seen the movie, so I have no idea what's in the movie that would.
How about stop cursing in the fucking kids movie, huh?
Or realize that there are not that many people that you're trying to portray them as, and you make ideologically driven trash. That's the right way to say that. But I have to go, guys. I got another place to be pretty soon. I always have a great time. You guys made a great video as usual, Tom. I love it. You guys,
awesome.
You really appreciate it.
There's over 450 people watching. Check out Culture Casino's channel if you haven't already.
Well, I recognize almost everybody here. Hi, everybody.
Hopefully, I might pop in over there at Comics.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I will be doing the 6-minute daily from a different location tomorrow. I'll be up at the up north at my cabin.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
Yeah. So you guys have a great night. I love you all. If
Take
I
care,
don't see you
Culture.
later, I'll see you
All
tomorrow.
right.
Bye.
Mecha J says Seth Rogen. Okay, we got that one. That's right. And as you see here, this is what he's whining about. Thank you for that, Mecha J. That was a perfect segue into that. Xenobit says all the talk about One Piece, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga has been in print since 1987 and currently still running. Respect your elders, children. Yeah.
Same with 2000 AD.
Yeah. J Bama fan Humble Braggart says, "Happy birthday, Jesus. Hope you like crap."
Happy birthday.
Oh shit. No, it's not his birthday yet. Are you sure? I want $20. No. It's not till December 25th. Back. All right. Anyway, sorry I had to deal with that.
I must say that was a great profile picture, by the way.
Of which one?
Of
the
J
last
Bama
one?
fan?
Yeah. This one?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hello.
Yep.
Then we got
Pay attention.
Xenobit again, who says, I watch Scrooge movies and shut it off before the ghost visits, and I turn off the Grinch right after he steals the presents before giving them back. I see what you're doing there.
You know, there's a real Ghostbusters episode where they go through some kind of schism and they end up in that story and they bust the three ghosts.
Yep, and then they gotta reenact, save everything, save Christmas for them. Yeah,
I should
Classic.
try and get that German import of that because I wonder if they're any better than the fucking DVDs that are out there now.
What do you mean?
The DVDs that are out now look like fucking shit because they're from a Video Master. But Germany put out, they're in standard def, but they put them out on DVDs or Blu-rays instead of DVDs, and they actually have every episode, including the Slimer shorts that weren't on the Sony ones.
they
I
also have the
Slimer
pilot pitch episode too.
I believe so.
I inherited from my brother. He had bought the one that was the box that looks like the firehouse and it's got.
Oh, that's a decent one. That's the next
nice.
best one. As far as I know, that has all the episodes on it. I think it has some of the.
Yeah, it's got episodes and commentary, but doesn't have Slimer shorts.
Yeah, I would say that's missing them then, and I think it still has some of the episode because, like, I can't remember what it was. If like there's some episodes that are running at the wrong speed, or they're the cut down versions or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? My son always loves to pause it, and then he shows me. But I put some of them on Instagram. But like, because Ray and Winston, if you were to not color them, they kind of look the same. Sometimes there's two Rays or two Winstons, or like they'll paint Egon like Peter, or they'll do.
There's a couple of like the errors, but those are from the original prints. Like, I think there's one. I think in the episode where Ray goes back to his hometown, there's a wide shot of them where Winston isn't brown in it.
Yeah,
like his hair's black, all the hair, everything is correctly colored except the way they do it with the lighting. He's kind of just a darker pink.
God damn it, Koreans!
Could
be.
That was big on that
I
show.
probably
like,
was.
I don't even notice.
And they're those same ones always fucked up Ninja Turtles too.
Oh yeah,
and the Simpsons.
Ninja Turtles. The problem was the wrong voice coming out of the wrong turtle.
Oh yeah, you had that a lot.
Really?
Which I can't remember which show was it, The Simpsons or something else. There was one show that they ended up having to redo almost the entire episode because they had fucked it up so bad in Korea.
There was an episode of Superman the Animated Series where that happened.
It's something else I'm thinking of that I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised. I think it was a Simpsons episode for some reason, like one of the early Simpson episodes.
What happened in it? I'll tell you.
Like the Koreans didn't fucking animate it right, so they ended up reanimating most of it in the US or something like that. I think it was a Simpsons episode. Because it was one where they had a commentary and they were talking on the commentary about it, and they're like how it came back and it was all fucked up, and some of the colors were all fucked up, and they had messed up some of the lettering and shit like that on certain things. And for some reason, I want to say it was the Miss Batsukowski episode of The Simpsons.
Oh, the babysitter one?
Yeah, for some fucking reason, that's the one that sticks out to me. It could be wrong.
That character design for her is so terrible, and I also can't believe you know her name.
And that's another reason why I think I remember it is because I think that because they did all the animation, like because they were bitching, they were doing it like Looney Tunes, like with all the like wobbly animation and shit, and they're like they had to redo a bunch of it and shit. And like if you watch like hers, I think some of her animation is still that way or something like that, but. But then if you watch the other stuff that's redone, that's why that episode looks so good in certain bits, because they redid it. I think it's that one. If I'm wrong, someone please correct me, but I think that's it. Trenchman says Nightmare Before Christmas, hands down, even if the plot is kind of boring, just saying it's a short story saved by great songs by Danny Elfman. Oh, I love the Nightmare Before Christmas.
I'm not into that, and my son loves it.
You're not into it, and he loves it, you're saying?
Correct.
Nah. I didn't
I could see the charm,
it,
but I'm not all about that dark ass, dreary old Tim Burton style. I'm just.
I love classic Tim Burton.
Yeah, like Beetlejuice and Batman and shit. But
I consider
Nightmare is just too dark.
No, I consider that part of his classics.
Oh yeah,
even though he didn't even direct it, but
he didn't.
No, he just designed it and wrote the story.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was directed by the guy who directed James and the Giant Peach and a couple other movies.
Do you think he's bitter because it's always been known as Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Well, that was the only way it was able to sell, sadly.
Yeah, I mean,
he produced it, but yeah.
It was kind of, you look at it like Tim kind of directed the idea, I guess, if you want to put it that way, and then the director just kind of directed his vision because he didn't, I think Tim was directing, I think, what was it? Not Batman Returns, something else at the time.
He was working, I think, on Ed Wood.
Yeah, probably.
But the thing is, like, all those character models and designs are clearly Tim Burton style art.
That's what I mean. Like, he was heavily involved, but I think he was just so busy doing other shit, and plus animation being such a labor intensive.
Well, especially the stop motion stuff they were doing. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, they had come up with some techniques that helped them move it along a lot quicker, but it still was, it still was process.
Yeah, it was still like Robot Chicken actually has got the fastest stop motion technique because they converted old Nintendo gloves into frame.
I saw that.
Yeah,
what?
Like, that was
it's not like a YouTube video or something like that.
They converted the power gloves so that they can go back and forward on a shot frame so they can match up their motion, and then they use like the A and B button to take the still shot, and it's really.
The guy wanted like a remote so he wouldn't have to keep
walking back to the
walking back and forth. Yeah,
to the
that's
monitor.
Pretty brilliant.
He has a big monitor set up. He just has to step out of frame, take the shot, go back into frame, move it, adjust it, verify it, and then step out, take a shot. He ends up saving himself like 10, 15 minutes per between motions.
Oh yeah. Plus, they don't use actual clay. They have somebody make all those heads for them.
Well, they use the heads, and then they have the
figures and shit.
They have the layover mounts so that they just stick on top.
When I was in high school for a AV class, I made a claymation video, and I didn't even finish it. You know why? Because eventually, like after a couple of days, we just kept having to remake every single model.
Yeah,
because it was clay.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass.
That's why it's better to use a mold system than a build-up system. DL has become a member. That or is at his renewal stage. Thank you for that, DL. We can't tell on this side, but appreciate it. Glinzer says, funniest Xmas movie. No one mentions Santa's Sleigh.
That's supposed to be SLEIGH? Because that's the horror film, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, unless that's a different movie I know about.
Yeah. Unless they're talking about an actual Santa's sleigh, like was it stolen and then Santa has to get it back before Christmas? Because if that's not a movie, I'll start working on that.
Oh, speaking of that, I'm going to show you something Polly sent me that really has me like, what the fuck?
Hey, Trenchman, who be that?
You're not going to believe this shit script. We should almost fucking sue, man. I'm thinking about it. I should have brought this up.
To do.
I know, but I should have brought it up when Andre was here because I think we did this version on the main channel, if I'm not mistaken. The Latinx Men coming from Netflix, looks like.
Is this real?
Evidently.
It looks hastily animated.
It's an animated sketch.
This was a joke, like
it is a joke. It's a sketch on the TV show Go Off. But they fucking ripped us off, man.
They did. That's what I'm saying. This was like a joke a month ago. Then they took and made it into a crappy show.
Yeah, this came apart from like I think a super chat from a while back too, right? Someone else was like saying, what type of X-Men are we going to get
whoever
next?
sent that super chat's got a case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is obviously the basis of this show.
I don't know if they're watching this, but that's, I just thought that was kind of funny. Paulie's not too happy about it, though.
No, why would he be?
Yeah. Then Xenobit says, Seth Rogen. No, Beavis and Butthead have a better. I can at least listen to Beavis and Butthead laugh. Beavis and Butthead are like, yeah. Seth Rogen is. Sounds like a car trying to start.
Yeah, putter. It's a putter. It's not laughter. It's a putter.
Yeah.
But, I was
Hold up.
thinking,
Fatal J is in the chat.
Hey, Fatal.
J. I did see that Santa Sleigh movie with Goldberg, and yeah, that was pretty funny.
This is a good question because this is the age-old debate is around again. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Is Lethal Weapon? Is Gremlins? Is this? Is that? Goddess of Whim asks, Batman Returns a Christmas movie? Yay or nay?
Yes, it is.
It is. Alfred wishes Bruce a Merry Christmas at the end.
Yeah, and also when the penguin comes in and the giant duck into that party, it's a Christmas party. That's
a Christmas party. The whole plot centers around an event on lighting the city's Christmas tree.
Correct.
Which is also ends up being where the ice princess gets murdered. Yeah, it's very much a Christmas themed film.
Yeah, I mean,
it's one of Lethal Weapon. I forget that it's Christmas until I'm watching it.
That one's also a bit in a gray area.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really signifies it as Christmas is the fact that Riggs has a sting operation at a Christmas tree lot.
Yeah, see, Batman Noel says if it happens at Christmas, it's a Christmas movie. I'm a little different. If Christmas is a focus of plot points, then yeah, it's a Christmas movie to me.
That's kind of
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is more of a Christmas movie than Lethal Weapon, I would say.
Well, because I always look at it like this. My main thing is if you pull Christmas out of the movie, does it still hold up? Right.
Yes. That's a good element too.
That's kind of where my baseline is to start from. Because even you can argue because especially when people get on the Die Hard argument and stuff like that, it's like, look, Die Hard to me is more of a Christmas movie than something like Wonderful Life, where most people feel like it's a Christmas movie. You take
Christmas, it just aired at Christmas all the time because nobody saw it.
There's very little that has to do with Christmas, just the ending, basically. Other than that, the rest of the flashbacks have very little to do with Christmas. Very, very, very little. And you can still take Christmas out of that movie and had nothing to do with the movie, really, other than just that at the end they have a Christmas. It's Christmas. That's it. So
Reindeer Games doesn't get enough love.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, it's like whatever you want. Whatever you want. That's what I usually end up saying. If you don't think something's a Christmas movie, then don't fucking watch it at Christmas. If you think something is, then watch it and enjoy it at Christmas.
Now, is the second Grinch movie where it's Halloween a Christmas movie just because it's the Grinch?
No, Halloween's Grinch time.
Yes.
The answer's in the title, Jesse.
Yeah, but still, it's the Grinch. He's a Christmas guy.
That's why he hates Christmas. Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. That's his whole character.
No.
So do you think that him being on Halloween doesn't cheapen that? Like, does he hate Easter as well?
Probably. If there's an Easter in Dr. Seuss's world. But while you're bringing this up, you do realize that and How the Grinch Stole Christmas was the inspiration for Nightmare Before Christmas, right?
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. I'll accept it.
Yeah. He always wanted to make that's why I always said that we in an alternate universe somewhere, we got a much better Grinch movie because Tim Burton directed it. And then maybe Ron Howard instead directed that god awful Cat in the Hat movie and it wouldn't be so bad.
Dude. I don't know what Michael Myers was thinking on that. He should have just put on that.
He didn't want to be there.
He was contractually obligated to do it.
Was he?
Yeah, he burned some bridges. Yeah.
That's one of those movies where I feel like every print should be found and burned and never spoke of again. Like he
looked creepy.
Well, it's just the dumbest.
He looks like that bunny from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey when he was in hell.
A little bit, yeah.
And it's just the biggest insult to the story. I mean, at least the Grinch movie tried to do its I mean, even with the stuff that it expanded on, you know, you got to say, hey, well, at least it fit, right? There's nothing in the Cat in the Hat that they expanded on that it's like constitutes.
Now, are you talking about the Jim Carrey one or the CGI?
I didn't make it through the CGI one.
Okay.
No, I liked the whole. I actually liked the Jim Carrey Grinch one.
See, I thought the CGI one was better than the Jim Carrey one.
I didn't make it all the way through that one. But I mean, I guess that's just a matter of taste. I can't speak because I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched about 10 minutes of that Cumberbund one and I quit.
When it was only Jim Carrey one and the original animated one, then I would always just go for the animated.
Well, of course,
the Jim Carrey one just rubs me wrong. I don't know why.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, Jim Carrey is kind of somebody who sometimes people just can't. Xenobit says Seth Rogen eyeballing Donkey Kong come to Butthead. He doesn't sound like Butthead though. That's the thing. Butthead's probably smarter too. Dash Attack says, "Holy crap! I just popped in. Seth beyond salty. The gall of this man to accuse 80th people white supremacist. I don't know what he means by 80th people. But
maybe 80% of people.
Maybe that's what I think he meant. Something like that. Truly disgusting. Validates the criticism. Yep. And it kind of goes along with Kevin Smith blocking my ass too. There's kind of a, it's like same shit, different day.
See, the whole white supremacist.
They get their weed from the same dealer, so that clearly that's the.
Like the whole white supremacist thing makes no sense to me because it's like that's one of their labels they use. Like, they used to just call everybody a nazi, but it's just.
I'm
like,
just surprised they didn't go anti-Semite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's like it's never anything race based, and they call you a white supremacist, and it's just like, what's the correlation between this and white supremacy as concepts? I mean, can you explain the basis of where you're coming from so you have some parameters for this argument? Because I just don't think they do. They don't think that deep. They're just like, oh, they don't like it, white supremacy, patriarchy.
Seth Rogen Jewish?
Yes, he is. And so is Sarah Silverman, and they're both starring in this Christmas TV show.
Fuck. Anyway, Mecha J says the Simpsons episode you're referring to, Tom, is called Some Enchanted Evening. Yes. It's been said that 70% of the animation had to be done. I was right. See, I knew it. Because there's some really great animation in that. Because I think they were talking about how like some of their head animators were like working into the night just trying to finish that fucking episode. And they had, they're doing the paint and everything. They're doing the whole goddamn thing just to finish it up and get it done. Xenobit says Latinx Men RC. Xenobit, I think it's mine. Yes.
I think it is yours,
Xenobit. I think you are correct on that. Yeah,
trademark and copy to registered and copywritten.
If you can remember which episode we brought that up on and you want to sue, hey, I'm there.
Yeah, what you need to do is find that episode, then download it, and then call
find the episode, clip the part, retweet with that clip to the Netflix thing, and just see where
maybe
the cards
we'll get
fly.
A payday. Here's the problem with that, and Script will back me up on this one. The problem you have with these kind of lawsuits is you have to prove that one of those guys watched the show.
There's that, and also the other thing to realize is a lot of people come up with the same idea.
Right.
It just happens, completely separated from other individuals. So
Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Yeah, Armageddon and Deep Impact is a very, very accurate one.
Actually, there's more of a correlation there than. Mm-hmm. Anyway, James Esperanza is also a member. Thank you so very much for that. I think we owe some people some puppies from earlier and now. So I'm gonna give you a bored corgi just because they're cute. We're gonna give you an Oscar-winning puppy because they're adorable.
I like this one because he doesn't stop wagging his tail when he's
like,
dead.
I'm doing a good job. And we give you a maximum effort puppy. Fuck it. Everybody gets a maximum effort puppies for everybody. All right. And yes, Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Yes.
I will argue Gremlins is very much a Christmas movie, even though Joe Dante doesn't like that it's considered a Christmas movie. He should have known that considering its context. I mean,
it's a Christmas present for his son. I mean,
yeah. Well, not only that, if you look at it, it's saying a lot about consumerism in the 80s. A dad literally gives a kid a gift that consumes people.
Yeah.
Especially if you go by the original script, it's even more in there.
And he's a guy who's trying to sell his own crappy inventions.
Well, and not only that, in the original idea of Gizmo is that he was made. He's not an actual creature. He was made. He was a toy gone wrong kind of idea, made in China or whatever.
Which they then perverted that idea for the Chucky remake, right?
Pretty much, kind of, sort of. But yes, I would full on consider Gremlins a Christmas movie.
Totally. Guitar Jedi very strongly disagrees.
Yeah, you can. Arkham Origins is the best Christmas game to play, says Trenchman. There you go. I don't know if I played Origins. I'm trying to remember which one. I did the 3D one.
I've only got the first 2 Arkham games, and that's enough for me.
Yeah,
my son plays all of them. He's all about those.
Rob Alta says, compared to Santa Inc., Jaws is a Christmas movie. Fuck Seth Rogen. It's probably closer, and it takes place on the 4th of July. Xenobit says, I broke up with a Mexican chick. She's my Latinx. Trenchman says, big fear I have is Disney making a Kingdom Hearts movie. That would be the worst. That would be worse than Space Jam. I think there's potential in that, but I can see where you're going with that. Totally. And Annabelle, if you think that the Cat in the Hat is an A-OK film, well, then good for you.
See, I think that they should have a Disney Plus streaming show, right? And it should be a cartoon, kind of like drawn together, but with all the Disney characters. And they'll all just like live in a house together, and they'll be like dealing with all this modern bullshit.
Joachim Starks' non-Exodus movie that I watched for Christmas is Highlander. Okay.
That's a great movie to watch at any.
Now, I wonder if this is the reason. This may not even be Joachim's reason for this, but I'm going to ask you guys this just because I have a couple. Like, is there any movies that either came out in theaters or on video that, even though they have very little or nothing to do with Christmas, that you still kind of associate with that time of the year, kind of like with summer movies?
That's a good question.
My go-to is always Christmas Vacation, so it's hard for me.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But there's a few that are just not even related to Christmas, but just because they happen to either come out in the theaters or on video at that time, I just always associate them. RoboCop 2 is one of them that always comes to mind.
See, that's the thing. Like when I look back,
came out of Christmas on video.
I got Ghostbusters 2, but that's more of a New Year's film. So
I don't really remember when they all came out.
Ghostbusters 2 did hit video around Christmas, though, same time as, or a little after, I think.
But it's one of the few movies where the plot revolves around New Year's Day and New Year's Eve.
But see, I saw Ghostbusters 2 in the theater in the summer. But see, I didn't get to see Batman, so I got to see that for Christmas, though. So see, I kind of even though that year I just associate with Batman in general outside of Ghostbusters 2. And
I remember seeing Batman Returns before Christmas.
See, Indiana Jones, I think, came out around the same time too, but that was after. I can't remember if that was after Christmas, but see, there was one year where this is another reason why I associate Indiana Jones sometimes with Christmas. I don't know if anybody's old enough in the chat to remember this, but somebody actually shared one of these videos on YouTube the other day, or Twitter the other day. They're like, did they really do this? Yes, like for a couple of years in a row, McDonald's actually did a deal where they had 4 video cassettes or a couple video cassettes where you get for dirt fucking cheap.
And at that time, it was Addams Family.
1 year they had Addams Family, Wayne's World, and a couple other movies. And 1 year they actually had the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Damn.
I don't know if anybody else remembers that, but that was a big deal. That's like I associate Christmas with Indiana Jones because of that, because that was the year I got the full trilogy for the first time. But see, now those I think were like $4.99 a piece.
See, I'm just old fashioned. If it's not Christmassy, I don't really think it's Christmas. I want to be in a Christmas vibe. I'll watch the Garfield Christmas special,
Yeah. Tom, do you need to watch the first 15 seconds of The Legend of Beavis like right now? I'm sure I remember it. Maybe at some point if Beavis did something that sounded like Seth Rogen, but I just don't see the correlation. They both have goofy laughs. That's about it. Fuck Google too says Armageddon was a riff on a John Wayne movie. Was it? I didn't know that. Bryant Barth wants to know why we think Scorsese managed to stay the same as unlike other directors. We actually answered this.
He does a lot of his own thing. I think the last time we talked about him, he had a kid at a very old age, and that kind of gave him some new energy in life.
And I'm still not sure why Gutter Jedi wouldn't think that Gremlins is a Christmas movie, but hey. It's about Christmas. It's very much about Christmas.
Yeah.
Especially Kate's story, Jesus. And that's how I found out there was no Santa Claus. Do you know how hard Joe Dante had to fight to keep that in the movie?
That story, yeah.
Because that is one of the few times where you can go like, the movie really doesn't need it, but at the same time, it answers why she is the way she is throughout the entire movie. So it kind of needs to be there. But he fought tooth and fucking nail for that scene because they wanted to get rid of it so bad.
It's such a good moment. Like
it is. It's like the scene that everybody remembered that movie for, right? Like,
it's definitely one of them. I mean, a lot of people talk about the gremlin in the blender. And,
well, the microwave, yeah, but still.
Microwave, yeah.
That was how I found out there was no Santa.
Because he died.
My mom and dad, and they're just like, they were like, shit. James Esperanza says it's pronounced Espar like the pirate and za like pizza. So am I not saying it right?
Esparza.
Oh, Esparza. Gotcha.
I'm
adding an extra A. Gotcha.
The P is the problem because
you know what?
You would say Esparza. But
says love hearing Tom doing the hardest to pronounce my name. Latinx is also personal N-word. I hear you, buddy. As far as doing the name thing, it's like a rite of passage to have your name butchered by me.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to do my best, and I will try to remember it's Esparza from now on. I'll probably forget, but I will try my best not to. And Jaws: The Revenge is the best Christmas movie of all time, Mike. You are correct.
Jaws 4: The Revenge.
That is the best Christmas movie ever. I still have not found that stream. I couldn't remember what stream it was on, where I had that breakdown where I was like, I talked myself into the idea that Jaws: The Revenge was the greatest sequel of all times, and I wanted to redo that as a video, and I could not remember what stream it was I did that on.
How long ago was that?
That was almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
Since then, I've been racking my brain. I'm like, what fucking stream was that? Because I can't remember what chain of events led me to that. Because I was like explaining why it was such a bad movie, and the next thing I know, I'm like, actually, wait a minute, it's the greatest sequel of all time. It all makes sense now. Oh shit. Xenobit says, stop ignoring the He-Man Christmas special. Oh, I don't. I watch it every Christmas. Every Christmas. I love the He-Man Christmas special.
Yeah, I like the Christmas special because it's a story of how Orko abducts 2 Earth children and brings them back to Eternia, and then everybody has to clean up his mess.
Skeletor's the hero.
Yeah, he is. But I do love when he's like, leave the puppy.
I'll carry the puppy.
We can't leave him, mister. He'll die. Fine. I shall hold the puppy.
Yeah.
The full special is great. And why does Eternia have a holiday that's like basically Christmas?
Because Marlene is Earthling.
Yeah, she's an astronaut.
Okay. So she made them have that holiday?
Well, she celebrated
just carrying it with them. Yeah, I don't know if they ever carried that over into Revelation, but who gives a shit at this point? I think they were trying to play that she was, by the way, with the whole like as if and shit like that, but it was just coming off wrong because it was what's her face doing the voice from Clueless.
Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah, I was like, that's too on the fucking nose, dude. Video Fox says Star Trek 4 came out, or 6, Jesus Christ, came out in December 91, and its ending theme sounded Christmassy to me. There you go. See, that's what I mean.
There you go.
That's what I mean. There's just movies like Roger Rabbit I didn't get to see until damn near Christmas, so I always kind of associate that. And then it came out on video the following Christmas or whatever, so it was like I always kind of associated it more with Christmas, even though it was a summer movie when it first came out. Yeah, I totally get that. Gremlins is not just about Gremlins, though. The gift. It's the gift.
It's all started with his dad trying to find a gift for his son.
I just want to see where the Mogwai actually come from. Like, how old are they?
Well, it depends on which version you go by. The original idea was
version.
The original idea was that they were manufactured in China.
No, not that one. I want them to be an organic race because he's
okay. Well, if you go by the organic race in the novel, then they're aliens. And what happened is when they came to Earth, it changed their whatever to where that's why they became gremlins or whatever.
So is there a planet Mogwai?
Well, they came from a planet that was dying or some shit like that.
Yeah, and I guess the elements on Earth allowed the Mogwai to become gremlin.
Yeah, and they're also allergic to our sun because they come from a different solar system with a different sun.
Weird.
Yeah, like they go through this whole little explanation in the fucking novel.
I thought they were some kind of fae folk or something.
No, and then basically I just kind of extrapolated that, you know, the old Chinaman found when he was a kid during World War II, probably found Gizmo in a cave or something like that.
Yeah, I don't like the alien.
And then learned the hard way because there's stories of gremlins during the Second World War, and that you can totally factor that in.
Well, that one went into my Gremlins 3 script idea, is that he found 4 gremlins or 4 Mogwai, and he learned each rule with each one of the Mogwai, and Gizmo was the last one left.
Yeah, the other 3, I guess, were probably killed by the gremlins that spawned from.
Well, you had one that got killed by sunlight, one that multiplied with water and turned into gremlins, and and then he fed them after midnight or whatever. But yeah, like the whole thing was, and then then the gremlins that were in World War II were his fault.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what that was why my whole story kind of went back to the past, and you kind of dug through all this shit, and and it kind of crossed over with Futterman's story, because that's kind of what inspired me. Was in the original novel, they tell that story about where the Mogwai come from, and then you flip the page, and then on the next page, it's a little epilogue or a prologue thing where it's a World War II pilot keeps seeing something in the corner of his eye, and he can't figure it out, and he keeps asking his co-pilot, and his co-pilot is like, "There's nothing there. There's nothing there." And then all of a sudden, the next line is like the plane starts going down, the engine gives out, and all he hears the screams and a cackle. And like that's the last thing it says or whatever. It's pretty cool because the novel still has some of the more gruesome bits in it too, like where they take over the airport and shit. And I think it also had the McDonald's bit in it, where they don't touch the burgers but they eat the people.
That's funny.
It is. Well, it's funny because it's through a news broadcast. That's why.
Well, can
you imagine what they would do with the McFlurry machine?
A snake doesn't want to eat a dead mouse as much as a live one if it's used to eating live food.
Well, and like I said, the original script, which we do plan on doing a script reading of, the gremlins were very gruesome. They made them just kind of maniacal in the movie. They kill, but not like excessively.
Yeah, we should start working on that in earnest this weekend and have it ready for the week of Christmas and have it all nice.
That'd be great.
Xenobit says this stream is the most Gringo X thing ever. You're probably right. I can't argue with that.
I am a honky, sir.
Honker.
I'm not southern enough to be a honky tonk. What am I?
Not every movie is a Christmas movie, but if it has something to do with Christmas, and if you can't take Christmas out of the plot without the plot falling apart, then it's a Christmas movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very apt parameter.
Mm-hmm. Gremlins something on the wing. Something on the wing. Something on the wing.
Yeah, I still would have preferred they were a mystical thing over a alien, though.
Oh, you like supernatural style? Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
That's kind of what they are now. They never got into the other
alien part. Yeah.
No, that was
especially because Chinese mythology is like different than a lot of places in the world, so they could have fudged it on in there.
Well, that's kind of what it was like the idea of the Mogwai was the like magical Chinese invention.
Yeah, it's like I have this Chinese mythology book, and it's weird because it's like usually you think of things like, in the Western Hemisphere, like werewolves, yada, 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 anything you're typically used to. But their myths are really more just like, here's a short story. And that was it. It's just like, really?
Is there was a movie that came out last year, or was it year before? It actually was about gremlins, but they're only in it for like a few minutes. And then I heard what the actual plot of the movie was, and I was so pissed because I was looking forward to it. It's got.
Oh,
the
are you
chick that
talking
played
about, Shadow in the Clouds?
It's got.
Oh,
the
are you
chick that
talking
played
about Shadow in the Clouds?
Shadow in the Clouds?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the Max Landis, Chloe Grace Moretz.
Fucking hell, man! The trailer looked kick ass as fuck. I saw a clip of her fighting the gremlin. I'm like, I am in on this shit. And then I heard the fucking plot, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's a contained thriller on a plane. It's got awesome soundtrack, but a terrible movie. I read the script like back in 2018. The director claims she rewrote it. She barely touched it.
Really?
Trying to get rid of the stigma of the Landis name.
What was the terrible plot, though?
Okay, the whole thing is like, if you watch the trailer, you think it's
a gremlin takes over a plane and is trying to down it. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like the last 10 minutes of the movie or some shit.
That's this thing that kind of comes in and out of the movie, but it's not really prominent till the very end.
Yeah.
It's really about this woman in the army, this secretary, I guess, this military secretary, who somehow gets on board a B-52, which would never happen, and she's trying to smuggle her baby out of this army base so she can go back to civilian life. Yeah. And nobody on the plane knows it's the baby's with her. It's
and the baby's actually like the baby of some officer or some shit.
Is another officer because she's married to an abusive husband who's not in the military for some reason. It's a very convoluted story, and it ends with her breastfeeding. It's so stupid.
It's dumb as shit. Yeah.
Nobody notices a baby on a plane.
No, it's in a radio case that you have to keep locked and sealed.
You know what's stupid is I could have fixed that plot real quick. Instead of a baby, it's a gremlin in that box, and the other gremlins want the gremlin. It's a baby gremlin. She's taken to the government to get studied. There, you fixed the movie.
Well, if she was a scientist, that would actually allow her to be authorized on the plane, because any other term would never put a woman on that plane.
Again.
Yeah.
Double fix.
Because the actual thing, like when you see the trailer, you think that's the thing. Is like she's trapped in this, you're locked down in this gunner
turret. Yeah.
And with these gremlins out there, and she's the only one who sees them or whatever at first. It's like, so like the setup seems like really cool if you watch the trailer, but then once you actually hear about what the movie's about, and I've watched a couple reviews about it, I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Oh yeah, some of the special effects are terrible. There's a part where she's like literally climbing on the wing upside down, and they don't even get the gravity or the wind correct, so it just looks like she's standing on a set, or not standing, but climbing onto a set.
When I first heard about it and I saw the trailer, I'm like, this is like a dream movie for me.
How could you ever stand on the wing of a plane?
Well, she's not standing, so she's upside down, like she's on the underside of the wing trying to climb into the main hull.
Yeah.
And the way that they do it is like she like puts her feet into some bullet holes in the wing so that she has a footing, and she's trying to bear walk across there. And then there's another scene where she falls out of the plane, and an explosion from another plane kicks her back up into the plane, which doesn't work because when you're falling, you're not falling on an angle, you're falling straight down.
If you're outside of a plane at all, you're dead.
Yes.
You remember when with Biden leaving Afghanistan, Herbie was hanging on the outside of them planes? What was their plan there?
Well, they thought they could Tom Cruise it because they're desperate, and I felt for them, but you can't do that. You have to be strapped into something to be held on. You can't hold on with your bare fingers alone. It's not going to work.
It'll freeze.
Depending on what height you're at, yeah. Like if you were to say something like a seaplane, those can't go too high to the point where you freeze. You'll be freaking cold as hell, but you can survive that for a few hours if you're in decent shape. But I wouldn't recommend it anyways.
No.
But like if you were on like an actual jet or like a B-52 bomber that can go several like tens of thousands of feet above the sea line, yeah, you're freezing to death, or at least asphyxiating from thin air. And there's a whole lot of factors in there that are just going to kill you.
In real life, if you go and walk out on the wing of a plane, then you're like a mile behind the plane because you went flying off the wing immediately.
Well, it's just the speed alone would knock you off. Yeah,
for real. So ridiculous.
Mecha J asked on the top of Gremlins, will you guys be checking out the animated show coming to HBO Max? Yes, I will. And actually, it's funny you mentioned that because that looks like they kind of have a similar plot to that with
they got
Key Luke's character. Not yet. There's not a trailer, but there's a couple images out and there's a plot synopsis. Did I say trailer? I'm sorry if I did.
No, I'm just curious.
No, okay.
Check it out.
No, not yet. Sadly, because it's supposed to be out soon, which I can't believe there isn't one yet. But I'm kind of excited about it, but I'm apprehensive because Joe Dante did come in later and he's involved now. But like as a consultant or something like that. But because it's about Key Luke's character when he's young finding Gizmo, obviously, is what I could tell from the synopsis and stuff, but they keep saying Gizmo in the synopsis.
Huh.
Anybody who remembers or has half of a knowledge of Gremlins remembers Hoyt Axton's character is the one that gave him that name. He didn't have that name until then. So hopefully they remember not to call him Gizmo.
So it is a prequel, though.
It is, yeah, it's basically kind of what I said,
Okay.
my idea, but it's just, it looks like it's just from his point of view.
Yeah, that's true. The Mogwai did not have a name before.
Well, he may have had a name, but that's not what.
Yeah, but that's fucking hilarious because that means if they do that and it comes out in the series and his name is Gizmo, that means they didn't even watch.
Well, I'll be the
movie
first one to
before
call
they
that
made
shit
it.
out. Trust me.
Yeah,
I think
like, at
Just
least
at them right now.
there's
He was
only
named
two movies.
Gizmo in the first movie. We don't know what his name was prior.
You can watch all of the
me
Gremlins
anything you want
material
prior to
in an afternoon, so they got no excuse to be screwing up shit like that.
I mean, clearly, he might just be called Mogwai.
Yeah.
We don't know.
They could imply to the audience that this is Gizmo, but before he's named Gizmo, so we'll refer to him as Mogwai.
Yeah, that'd be much better.
Who knows what he called him, because I don't know if we ever really had a reference, because I can't speak fucking Chinese. I don't know what the fuck he's saying to him most of the time. Somebody wants to go watch those last few scenes or
At the start of the movie to find out what they called it, yeah.
at the beginning of the end, yeah. All right. But I've seen that movie so many damn times. I could recite the whole movie for you right now.
Medieval Man says it was Mogwai. That was what the old man called him, and that was what the Mogwai called himself.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking too, but I wasn't 100% sure. So, Bamagrad says if it was survival, Seth Rogen would be voted off the island, frog marched to the beach, given him raft, broken oar, and then told to get the F out of sight while water was being chummed for sharks. You know what? It's funny about this whole.
No one's going to waste a raft on him.
It's funny that there's like.
I was going to waste chum on the sharks.
It's funny that there's a Seth Rogen, Kevin Smith crossover kind of thing going on here, even though, yeah, they were, they made Zach and Miri together. Before that, though, like I always felt sorry for Kevin because Judd Apatow and Seth Rogen kind of did what he did, only not as good for years and got like uber rich and famous for it.
That is true, yeah. Judd Apatow is a hack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just made me think to, save some supplies here. He could just slice both of his palms so that every time that he tried to swim,
tried to paddle, he would actually see the water. Yep, exactly. Save your food on the island. So don't waste it on the sea. Get some deep cuts in his palms, so when he paddles away, it's yeah.
Well,
I prefer not to waste to do harm to these people, though.
I don't know.
I'd rather just embarrass them with better quality work.
So both Seth Rogen and Kevin Smith, man, it's just like doing good. Nah, you fell off a cliff. What are you gonna do? Hope for somebody else better to come along.
I think my best friend just got himself muted on my channel.
What do you say?
Nothing. I think that I'm sure one of the mods rightfully probably thought he was spamming the chat.
Is that what he said?
Because he kept bitching about Home Alone.
This is fucking Home Alone.
Just to be an asshole. He's like, Home Alone, Sweet Home Alone is great. Quit talking shit out.
This is my favorite movie.
I'll have to go back in and check and see if he didn't get blocked.
That's funny.
That's funny. Because I'm not seeing any of his comments on my end. He's like, aren't you seeing my comments? I'm like, no. But yeah, it's pretty sad that now though I don't give a shit about Kevin Smith. That comment before by Cartoon Man was correct. I'm more disappointed than anything. I'm not mad at him. I'm not upset. I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed. Yeah. Xenobit says Seth Rogen ruins Christmas. Ernest saves Christmas. That's a movie that needs to get re-released sometime soon because it's only gotten a DVD release of the crappy Laserdisc rip. Oh, Lord. I like Ernest Saves Christmas though. I almost bought it the other day, even though it is that crappy Laserdisc rip, but I'm like, nah, $4 is still too much for it. And it's just because of the rip. That's it. I love the movie.
Yeah,
I love
the quality's not that good on the transfer.
No,
right?
I think it's on digital and better versions, so I'll just have to find it. But for some reason, that's just one that Disney refuses to release, and they won't give it to Mill Creek to release.
It was a weird Christmas in Florida movie.
But I loved it. It's hilarious.
Okay, Mr. Santos.
Oh, look at this. Douglas sent us an awesome Christmas picture. We should put this on a Christmas card. Look at Justy.
That's awesome.
I look like I'm very concerned why I'm there.
Look at that. Script really Doctor is smiling.
I am. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Oh, it's Andre.
Andre is animated.
Yeah. He's like, why are you making me have this Santa hat on? Now I'm thinking about the man kissing Santa Claus.
Oh my God.
Oh Lord.
I'm glad I grew up in the
80s. I got a new Santa hat this year. I wear Santa hats on Christmas just to be cool.
Oh, nice.
This year I got one. It's a red and blue one with a Spider-Man symbol on it. I'm like, oh, cool. Douglas says Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas
Merry
to you,
Christmas,
buddy.
Douglas.
And Brian, I already answered that question earlier, buddy. So did Script. Not sure what else you want to know.
I don't know what else there. I mean, Scorsese doesn't make a lot of movies compared to the other people that came from him. So he has
just
time
trying to make some art.
Yeah, he's trying to make some art. I think he's got a good family life that keeps him centered to a degree. Definitely more so compared to some other people.
Well, it's also a thing of he's a guy who never has to do anything ever again if he doesn't want to. So if he'll do something, it's got to be something that's worthwhile.
That's kind of it. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to conform. He's more than happy doing what he's doing. And if somebody told him tomorrow he probably couldn't do it anymore, he'd just be like, oh, well.
He would be like, okay, I just won't do it with you guys then. You'll find another way. He's smart
Scorsese, exactly.
It's like, you know, I have a camera, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's just one of those guys who's managed to earn the right to do just about anything he wants. Really. I mean, he could afford to make a bunch of bad movies and nobody's going to say shit. That's pretty much it.
And here comes Mecca J fucking up my night.
Here we go. Mecca J says Seth's involvement in Santa Inc. doesn't really leave much hope that good Lord. I've never had hope for his TMNT movie. I'm actively waiting for that to be so bad. Like all he could do is surprise me. But I don't think that's gonna work.
At least all the turtles are going to curse a lot.
Yeah, Ryan got I just found him in the blocked members. So sorry about that, Ryan. But yeah, it's your fault for fucking saying the same goddamn thing over and over again. My mods thought you were spamming the chat, dumbass. If he's still listening.
Well, Medieval Man, there's no telling how much all this crap is going to affect the next generation of kids growing up. I mean, imagine growing up in this bullshit where everything is just all propaganda 24/7. It's like you're being fed idiocy, and how are you even supposed to know what's good at that point? You're being raised to a different standard. Fucked up. But yes, at least Michelangelo should be smoking weed. I mean, that's obvious.
You know, I was not surprised when Seth Rogen's first thing he said is, one thing nobody ever paid attention to is the fact that they're teenagers. So we really wanted to get into the teenage aspect. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, Seth? That's what the whole movement was about in the original, like making them more accessible to kids. Like they really leaned into the teenage aspect.
Yeah, they definitely act like teenagers. Leonardo and Donatello primarily being the smart ones of the group, and Raph the mostly emotional, and Michelangelo the one that just wants to party.
I mean,
he's gonna have Michelangelo hooked on heroin.
Yeah,
he's gonna have Michelangelo be like the stoner Mike in the recent CG live action hybrid films.
Do you think we'll have Michelangelo smoking a blunt?
I'd be surprised if he wasn't, or at least a bong.
I don't think Nickelodeon would let him go that far.
I hope not.
I don't think so.
It's got to be in there.
We're gonna get a strain named after the Ninja Turtles.
Isn't there already?
Probably, but like he'd be like official. Xenobit says there are like 100 80s cartoons that haven't been tainted yet. Sorry. All I need is like $100,000 to obtain one of them. In some cases, you're probably not wrong.
Yeah, but, there's a lot of really cool stuff from the 80s that didn't air as frequently as you'd expect, but are still considered like hidden gems. So seek them out if you can.
Now, how do you go into a bank and you're like, yes, I'd like a loan for $100,000 for a new business? And they're like, all right, what's your business plan? Well, I'm going to buy Silverhawks. And they're like, what do you mean? What's that? Be like, you don't know. Be like, picture this. You're in space and there's a cowboy flying a spaceship playing a guitar solo.
I got to
get out of here.
The bank won't really ask for that many details. You have to set up a corporation. You have to set up a product line.
Yeah.
And once you get that paperwork, it's usually smarter to apply for a line of credit as opposed to a bank loan. And then
if you get the Silverhawks, you got to use my song "Neon Cowboy."
Yeah. Yeah, just something that's playing while the Silverhawks are like strolling through a colony somewhere.
The script is making this sound oddly plausible now.
It is oddly plausible.
It is oddly plausible, yes.
Getting the rights to something not as difficult as you probably think. So much as sometimes it's just people just like the studios won't think it's viable, and or you got to go through a bunch of fucking paperwork to find out who actually owns what.
Yeah, there's an online database that has a $10,000 a year subscription, and it tells you who has currently the rights to everything because it's registered through, like, they monitor the registrations. It's really not worth it. You can do your own work. It takes a lot longer, but you can do the work and then find the contact information and make negotiations that way. You'd be surprised the type of deals you can come up with.
Indeedy do. Barth wants to know whatever happened to Joe Dante. Oh, he's still around. He's consulting on the new Gremlins show. He's just an old white man. I mean, he worked a lot in television and done some other things. He did make a movie a couple years back, but
he's very underused. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sadly, what happened to him was after The Burbs, which was probably his biggest critical success, he never matched the commercial success of Gremlins. And when Gremlins 2 was like a movie where they gave him basically unlimited power on and a shit ton of money.
And it was fantastic.
It's a fantastic film. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite films of all time. But it didn't make any money at the box office. And that was probably more so just because Warner botched the hell out of it in so many ways. But between that kind of shit, he just became less of a in-demand director. So he kind of leaned more into made for TV and cable movies and stuff like that. Like he worked on like Masters of Horror series and some other series and some other stuff. I mean, he's still around. I've tried getting a hold of him quite a few times for an interview. Like he's one of my dream interviews. Like when people ask,
yeah, I can believe that.
He's one of the guys that I want to talk to, and I think he's accessible enough, but I mean, if this Gremlins thing takes off, and with all the talk of a Gremlins 3 and stuff like that, he's probably been a bit more in demand and stuff like that. Who knows? So that's the best answer I can give you. He's around, but he's just not what Hollywood sees as a viable commodity. Xenobit says just remake Iron Man and call it the Centurions. Pretty much. That's not too bad. Let's see here.
I was just thinking, would a bank give me a loan to open up a dispensary?
Probably, if you're in the right place.
If your state legalizes it, yeah.
No, I had a question from a listener here for Scripts. Says, why do a lot of TV shows seem to not want to kill off their main hero characters lately? Do the writers not understand what makes the villains look mostly pointless? And are writers doing that to prevent social media outrage or some other reasons? Well, I mean, you can't kill your main hero off. That's the show.
Yeah, you don't kill your main character. I understand the dramatic shock value of doing that in a series, but the main characters, ideally the audience draw to that, and you don't want to kill them off. What you want to do is you want to make the villain as threatening as possible to put them on their edge. And what I would always recommend doing is that if you want to really, if it's a season-long villain, what you want to do is you want to have a cast of characters that you can kill off that isn't your hero, so that it affects the hero and shows it seriously. I mean, one of the brilliant things with regards to Star Trek, which is a happy accident, is that they killed Tasha Yar because the actress wanted to quit the show. She felt like her time was being wasted, and I don't see any argument against that. And it did wonders for the series because it pretty much had this kind of background thought that, any one of these characters could leave. And they got very close again with Picard in The Best of Both Worlds. People had, when that aired, people had no idea if Patrick Stewart was coming back or if he would be rescued or what have you until, that part 2 aired like many months later. That's an interesting take and thing to do, but it's not something you can just do off the get-go. And when you're writing and you want to make sure the villain is something that's more with regards to wit and actual like threat to your characters, unless you're thinking of something like Game of Thrones, which is not going to be an ongoing series. I mean, it's a handful of books. It's supposed to be compartmentalized to this particular overall story. So you can kill whoever you want, but again, anytime you kill a character, you kind of have to. You have an opening, a gap to fill. So you have to reintroduce or build up another character to fill that role. And it's going to get repetitive, much like, going up against various other villains. The question is
that's why they usually kill a girlfriend or somebody else.
Kill a girlfriend, a parent, a sibling, spouse, that type of stuff. So that the drama is directly affected to the main character, because the main character is who you're going to be following the longest. If you're in a show, which, don't get me wrong, could be interesting, where the main character in every season dies at some point midway through by the hand of the villain, and someone has to fill in their place. That's something, but that's also a nightmare on contract negotiations and casting, and it's just stuff that you don't really want to get into.
Xenobit brings up that Kevin Smith did off the main hero.
Only once though.
Twice.
No, he got stabbed. Come on, let's be honest here. He got stabbed, and then Tila magically killed him somehow.
He's dead.
But he died once. He died once. And also, I mean, you can argue he wasn't the main character of that show. Tila was. So. And I watched that episode again. I still don't know how Skeletor vanished from that front line and ended up with Triclops. Like, I don't know what happened there. Like, they missed
there was a lot of convolution in that last episode, because I don't even think they did a good job of explaining what happened to Evil Lynn. But ladies, this is my buddy Ryan, and that is exactly what he looks like, and I know he's going to be very happy that you know that. So with that, I think we're going to wind down a little bit. We got almost 400 people still watching. Please hit that like button, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for sticking with us too.
Yeah, you guys made this an amazing show tonight. especially considering we didn't have much to talk about until Kevin Smith blocked my ass. Xenobit says Skeletor only hurt He-Man. Kevin Smith killed him. That's right. See, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
What?
You know, we haven't done one of these in a while. Let's do this one. Fuck.
Oh, He-Man. He-Man.
Skeletor.
That's a dumb name.
Huh?
He-Man. He-Man. It's like the same thing twice. Why don't you just call yourself Guy?